Gyrative. Jai Masters. You talk about freedom, independence, freedom. There's two types of freedom. Freedom from yourself and freedom for yourself. That is the essence of spirituality. That's the fork in the road of your life. Freedom for yourself means I have a personal self, and I do, we do. It is the sum of our learned experiences. It's our desires, our fears, our anxieties, our preferences. It's our psyche. It's the psychological aspect of our being, which of course is influenced by the physiological aspect of our being and is programmed by the experiences we have in life. That's what it means that the psyche is the sum of your learned experiences. If you dated a redhead boy or girl in high school and they dumped on you, you kind of don't like redheads so much. And that's the truth. And vice versa. And this is what all of our experiences do to us. If you had a wonderful brother and sister, you may grow up to want to have a big family. If you had a lot of trouble in your household and you didn't get along with your siblings and your parents, you may want to be independent. You may want to travel and hitch around Europe. These are not things you're deciding. You are programmed by your past experiences. Not your, but the psyche. What you carry around, your mind, your heart, is programmed by the past experiences. Some people grew up in a household that couldn't stand bugs or made a big deal out of a little boo-boo. Oh my God, just all over you, and now you're like that. You're like that. You can't go outside and you're scared of everything. Right? You grew up in a household, where an NFL football player was your father. And basically, you're different. You think people are babies, that they got bruises and they want to stop playing and they want to stop doing things. You are programmed by your past experiences. There is no way you are not programmed by your past experiences. The things that you feel most strongly about, there is a reason you feel strongly about them. There are experiences you've had, movies you watched, a book you read. Ever read a book and it's wow, and you change? It's just amazing. All of the input that comes in to our psyche, to our mind, to our heart, gets either stored as positive or negative or boring. And it just goes right through. So when you talk about freedom for yourself, what does that mean? It means I have a way I want things to be. And I have the right to. You absolutely have the right to. In fact, you have no choice. If they're not that way, you get upset. If they're not that way, you get tense. If they're not that way, you worry. If they are that way, you feel great. You feel excited. You feel enthused. So it's not like you have a lot of choices here. That basically freedom for yourself means I am going to do what the sum of my learned experiences have taught me to do. And if I'm doing them and I'm really enjoying myself and then something happens that really turns me off, then I don't like them anymore. And it takes 1 second, and that includes people. Shh. Boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses. It's just amazing how we are, is it not? I don't know anyone that when they were getting married agreed with each other someday we'll get divorced. We love each other now, but someday we're going to fight and it's just going to be a terrible experience and we'll get divorced. That is not what your head is at when you're sitting there at the altar getting married. Then how come 50% of all marriages end up in divorce in America? Because the sum of your learned experiences is what ends up determining what you're doing. So there are experiences. You had a bad experience together, or this happened, or that happened, or you got jealous, or you got insecure, and the person wasn't there. Who knows? Doesn't take much, does it? You've been around the block. This is what it means that your personal self, it's not you, your personal self, your psyche, your mind's thoughts, your heart's feelings, the way you carry yourself with your body, all of that determines how you interact with the world as it flows past you. Only someone who's really new and hasn't been even around the block yet doesn't understand that yet. You change, don't you? You didn't decide to change. You didn't decide, I don't want to play with Barbie anymore. It's not something you decide. It's something that falls off. You have something else happens. You get interest in other things. So freedom for yourself is to say, I am living my life based on that. Most people think that's all they have. Almost everybody thinks that's all. What else would I live my life based on? If I get what I want, it turns me on. If I don't get what I want, I'm disappointed. If I get what I don't want, get away from me. All kinds of stuff's going to happen. I get depressed and so on. If I'm getting what I want and I'm happy in a relationship, a job, a this, a that, my career, I'm great. Nothing will ever go wrong. I'm wonderful. Everything's wonderful. That's how it works. Maybe you know about that? I want to know which one of you don't know that if you get what you want, you're happy. And if you don't get what you want, you're disappointed. And if you get what you don't want, it's tough. And it all depends on the degree. If you really get what you don't want, you can get really bad. You can get bad off. Okay, there it is. That is called the personal self. It is programmed by your past experiences, and you have these tendencies, these likes and dislikes, and your mind. Does your mind remind you what you like? Does it kind of talk about it a little bit? Does your mind tell you what you don't like and worry about it, that it might happen? What's happening is your psyche, this programmed part of your being, your personal mind and personal heart, it is programmed by your past experiences, and you look forward to getting what you want, and you definitely look with dread that you have to go through what you don't want. And then that determines your whole life. So freedom for yourself is to say, I'm not stupid. I can see what's going on. I commit my life to getting what I want, and I commit my life to avoiding what I don't want. Sound familiar? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why I'm wearing what I'm wearing. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. That's why my hair is the way it is. That's why I carry myself, so I stand up straight. So basically, it's just what I'm about. That's what I'm about. That's who I am. Wind me up. I'm a wind-up doll, and I will go after what I want, and I will go away from what I don't want. All right, fine. And then what freedom means to such a person is freedom for this self. Freedom to get what I want, freedom to avoid what I don't want. Is there anything wrong with that? Of course not. Of course there's nothing wrong with that. Every animal does that. Everything does that. It's like the Pavlov experiment. Give it a shock, and it won't go there anymore. Give it something nice, it'll go there. We're programmed. That's one way to live your life. What happens? Without exception, at some point in everybody's life, some rain must fall. It doesn't go the way you want. And you get unhappy, and you get upset, and your psyche gets disturbed. How disturbed can it get? I don't want to talk about that, because it can get very disturbed. It can get so disturbed you don't want to live anymore, but I want to talk about that. You know what I'm talking about. For yourself, other people, you've dealt with things to see how bad it can get, how depressed people can get, how unhappy people can get, how dejected people can get, and they don't see any light at all. It can get dark. So if you're getting what you want, there's some light. If you're not, it can get dark. That's the yin and the yang. That's the game that people play. Is there an alternative? Yes, there is an alternative. But very few people walk that path. But you're here, so that's a good start. What is that? Freedom from yourself instead of freedom for yourself. What does freedom from yourself mean? It means these tendencies that you're following that guide you into what you like and what you don't like, that is not you. You are the consciousness. You are a conscious being. If you were not conscious, you wouldn't know what you like. You wouldn't know what you didn't like. You wouldn't be able to see anything. Let's talk about consciousness for a minute. Consciousness is the most majestic, mystical, amazing thing that exists in the universe. More than the galaxies, more than everything. Why? If nothing sees or experiences as conscious of the galaxies, they don't exist. If nothing is conscious, why bother having it be here? It's not even here. Consciousness is awareness. Consciousness is there is something in me and you that is aware that there's something out there. In the Untethered Soul, I tell it this way. Let's say you walk into a room, there's a party, and all kinds of people in there and things, and everything's going on, a band, everything's going on, right? You're aware of that. You're aware of that, okay? What if I take the people out? Are you aware that the people are gone? Yes or no? I didn't take your awareness away. I took what you were aware of away, correct? So now there are no people in the room. But there's some furniture. I'm conscious of the furniture. I take the furniture away. Are you aware the furniture is gone? So your awareness did not change, did it? It's the exact same awareness that was aware of the people and the furniture and the music. Now there's no people. I'm aware there's no people. Now there's no furniture. I'm aware there's no furniture. Take the music away. Now I'm aware there's no music. I'm aware it's quiet. Can you be aware it's quiet? Very good. The awareness is who you are. The other things are what you're aware of. There's consciousness and object of consciousness. Everything else is an object of consciousness. Then there is consciousness. The consciousness is one. It's the same. It never changes. You were conscious when you were 10 years old. Were you not? It's the same consciousness right now. You're just conscious of a different body, different experiences, different emotions. Did you have emotions when you were 10 or 12 or 15? You were conscious. You're aware. That awareness has been there the whole time. It is the same awareness. It doesn't change. It doesn't change. It's just awareness. Not awareness of something. It's just pure awareness. I'm aware. All right? Are you aware that you're happy now? Yes. Are you aware that you're sad now? Yes. It's just awareness. Awareness is magical. Awareness is the beginning and end of all meaning of life. If there is no awareness, there is no meaning. There can't be any meaning. Now it's just a question of what you're aware of. Very good. Now we laid the groundwork for what is freedom from yourself. You have this mind. You have these preferences. You have these desires. You have these needs. You have these fears. You have these neuroses. You have all kinds of things. Are you aware? Are you aware that you get sad? Are you aware you get scared? Are you aware you're nervous when you go on a date? Are you aware that you're insecure? Anybody ever feel insecurity? Or that's a foreign word to you guys. Are you aware of insecurity? Obviously. Awareness is aware. Now the question is, what are you devoting your awareness to? If I put you back in that room where there's people and furniture and music, you're aware, and I take the people away. Did you freak out so much that the people are gone that you weren't able to stay, I'm going to use a big word here, centered, clear, and be aware that, oh, I'm still aware. The people are gone, I'm not. Or did you freak out so much that the people are gone that you lost your sense of center, of consciousness, of awareness, and you fell down into these emotions and fears and anxieties so that you can't even think straight or be straight? See the difference? Now you understand what centered means? You're aware of being aware. Not I'm so lost in the emotions, in the thoughts, in the desires and fears and anxieties and insecurities and blame and shame and you name it. I'm so lost in the object of consciousness that I did not maintain a center of consciousness. Freedom from yourself is that my center of consciousness, who I am consciousness. Everything else is something I'm conscious of. My center of consciousness is free, liberated from its attachment, from the control of what we call my lower self, of my personal self. That is a state you are capable of achieving, and we're going to talk about it. Why? Consciousness has a quality. Consciousness has a nature. It's not just there. It is just there, but it's there, okay? It's actually there. It's actually an essence of consciousness, of awareness, of being. If you can let go of getting pulled down into what you're conscious of, that is your spiritual path. Consciousness is what they mean by spirit. As you move back into consciousness, into your center, into the essence of your being, and don't get pulled out by your thoughts and your emotions and your fears and your anxieties and so on and so forth. There is a state, and that's the deep meditative states, but you don't have to be sitting in a lotus position. You can be walking around the world. You are a conscious being. You're always conscious, otherwise you wouldn't know there was a world. So you're conscious. The problem is the personal self, the psychological self, the thoughts, the desires, the fears, the anxieties, all this stuff that got programmed inside is so powerful that it owns your consciousness. It pulls your consciousness into it, and we'll talk about that in detail in a moment, so you watch it happen. What happens when you meditate deep enough for long enough? It's in slow motion. It all goes into slow motion. You're sitting there, you're conscious, you're aware, be here now, you're just aware, and then somebody says something, or somebody walks in the room, or somebody's wearing a certain blouse or shirt, and all of a sudden, boom, you're in that. Some reaction happens inside of fear, anxiety, jealousy, insecurity, need. Who the heck knows? I don't want to list them all. There's a big list. What can go on in there? And then the mind starts, oh, I wish I had a blouse like that. How could I had a blouse like that? Is that mine? And it just starts doing all this stuff. And the next thing you know, you're involved in that instead of being aware that you're aware of that. That's the difference between lost consciousness and what we call witness consciousness. It's so funny. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go in the woods and hide and go into a mountain somewhere and meditate. You're always there. Obviously you're there, otherwise you wouldn't know what's going on. So basically, you're here, you're centered. You know what I mean by centered? You're just conscious of being conscious, not thinking about it. If you're thinking about it, you're conscious of your thoughts. You're just there. But when something happens, the mind starts, the heart starts with the emotions and everything, and the next thing you know, you're not there anymore. You're there. You're lost in the emotion, you're lost in your thoughts, you're lost in what to do about it. There's layers upon layers of thought. Why is she doing that? Who is that? Who's she with? Why are they holding hands? Maybe I should say something. No, I don't want to. I don't want to act jealous. Oh, the whole thing goes on in there. And it just starts going on in there. And then you're not there. You are there because you know that's going on, but that's all you know that's going on. You get lost in that. And maybe you come back. Maybe after it happens, you come back and you realize, whoa, what was that? It's like I was here, and now I was down there, and now I came back here. Okay? And I can tell you a secret, just because I love you, sometimes you won't want to come back. You will go down there, and it's so real to you that if it starts to drift back, that would mean you'd have to let that go. You'd have to realize that that's not real, and you don't want to. And so you push yourself back down into that stuff and try to stay that person. So you just understand what's going on. This is what it means to understand the deeper teachings. Doesn't mean you're there yet. It's fine. You need to go through what you need to go through. And you're going to go through what you need to go through whether you like it or not, all right? This is going to happen. But at least you have the teachings. You're aware. I am the consciousness, and I have this issue. What? Me. There. I'm toting along, until I called your roommate, I'm toting along this thing that has a lot of problems. It cares what everybody thinks. I mean, it's bad enough if somebody criticizes you, you have to put up with it. But if you think that they might criticize you, you're in trouble. Now it's not even real. You did it yourself. You do it all the time. You're in a relationship. Do they really love me? I don't know. Are they using me? I don't want to get hurt like I did before. What kind of way is that to live your life? That's ridiculous. So freedom for yourself is to devote yourself to that. Is to sit there and say, that's me. No, it's not you. You are the one that is aware. You are the consciousness at all times. You are the consciousness, the awareness of being. You are not what you're looking at. You are the one who's looking. You're not what you're feeling. You are the one that notices the feelings. You are not your thoughts. There's not a single thought that you are. You're the one that's aware of your thoughts. Somebody once asked Yogananda, fully enlightened being, Master Yogananda, I want to know God. I want to know God. You know, I realize you're God, realize I want to know God. And he just nonchalantly turned around and said, He dwells right behind your every thought. What dwells behind your every thought? The consciousness that's aware of the thought. So you are a very great being. We'll talk about that more in a moment, but you're a very, very great being. Not your mind. It's a mind. Everybody's got one. Not your preferences, not your desires, not your likes and dislikes. Everybody's got a book in there. Everybody's got a story. And if you study it, psychology will help you. You'll understand where it came from, why you're that way, and why you like what you like. So you, who's aware of it, is a way greater being than what you're aware of. You're this magical thing called awareness, consciousness. So basically, freedom for yourself is when it's so strong. What is? Your preferences, your desires, your fears, your anxieties, your psyche, your neurosis, whatever the heck it is, plus all these emotions and all this stuff are so strong, and they are. Don't get embarrassed. They're very strong. Pull your consciousness down into them so much that you don't stay centered. You're not aware. It doesn't take much for you to go south, down. All it takes is someone to look at you the wrong way. All it takes for someone to be wearing something that you once wore and it looks better on them. All it takes for someone to do a sport and someone beats you, and all of a sudden you're not happy anymore because your consciousness got pulled down into this constantly changing flux of mind, thoughts, and of emotions, and so on. Can anybody relate? All right? Freedom for yourself says, that's me, that thing down there, those emotions and these thoughts, that's me. And I'm going to devote my life to getting what I want and avoiding what I don't want. That's freedom for yourself. At some point, you wake up and you realize that just keeps changing. Christ said, don't build your house on sand. That's what it's talking about. Because it does keep changing, doesn't it? All right, just be aware of how quick it changes. Somebody you love and they say one word that you didn't expect them to say, how do you feel? Well, I never thought you would say that to me. Well, what's going on here? Oh, wow. And what if they sit there and say, well, I said it and I meant it? Oh, the whole thing falls apart. You need to shrink quickly. Help, what's the phone number? 911 help. And the whole thing falls apart. Yes or no? Ever happen? Ever seen it? See the tendency? That's what it means to build your house on sand. You devoted your life to a part of your being that is not you. You are the one that's aware. All right, what does it mean, freedom from yourself? That's a whole other level of freedom. That's when you woke up enough, and again, it's not a judgment. You need to go through what you go through so that you do indeed wake up. You woke up enough to realize that's not me. Those emotions are not me. They are things I'm aware of. Those thoughts are not me, no matter how strong they are, no matter how loud they are, no matter how scared they are. It's something I'm aware of. I'm aware of this. I see that I was brought to be afraid of bugs. So now when I see a bug, I see all this fear come up. Who sees it? Me. Am I afraid of bugs? Of course not. I'm noticing that there is fear when a bug shows up. Who am I? You have no fear. You have no anxiety. You have totally clear being. If a light shines on something, that something could be broken, that something could be bent, that something could be beautiful. What's it got to do with the light? Nothing. What if it gets really broken? It doesn't matter. What if it disappears? It doesn't matter. The light keeps shining because the light was what we call transcendent to what it was shining on. That is the nature of consciousness. Consciousness is untouched by what it's looking at. It's just looking at it. So now we're saying instead of finding out the nature of what it's shining on, I want to know the nature of light. I want to know the nature of self. I want to know the nature of consciousness. And at some point you will start to question that. Who am I? Who am I? Who is this back here watching? But you can't when you're being pulled in. You won't be back there watching. You'll be sucked in. But there will come a point where you are back there and you'll notice from periodically, some things not, but generally, more and more, you'll be noticing, hey, I'm the one who looks through these eyes. I'm the one who hears through these ears. Doesn't matter what I'm hearing, it's still me hearing it. If it's music I like, music I don't like, and I watch the emotions change, it's me. That's me. Very good. That's very good when you reach that point. You are beginning to awake to the truth of what you know inside yourself. I'm the one. There's just one of me, right? If I'm sad, I'm the one that's aware that I'm sad. If he's happy, I'm the one that's aware that he's happy. There's just one of me. Well, you're an integrated being. There's one. So now you can spend more time there. And you're going to notice that the self, we'll call that the self, the Atman, the soul, I don't care what you want to call it, you're going to notice that you're noticing something. You're noticing that there's a joy. There's a sense of freedom. There's a sense of openness. There's even a sense of love, of just light, love, light, openness. What is that? It's not something you're looking down at. It's something you're experiencing. It's not a thing below you that's emanating and you're paying attention to it. It's you. That is the nature of self. Consciousness has a nature. In the Eastern teachings, the Upanishads and so on, they give it a name, Satchidananda, eternal conscious ecstasy, eternal conscious bliss. What does that mean? That is who you are. That is the nature of consciousness. It doesn't have a beginning. It doesn't have an end. It wasn't born. It doesn't die. It's just there. It's conscious. It's there. It's always been conscious. Not always been conscious of your body. That's just one of the things it's conscious of. Just like a light can shine on something. If the something goes away, the light's still shining. Consciousness has no beginning. Now, I don't usually talk to it this way, but it's the 4th of July. We're talking about liberation, freedom. Consciousness, your consciousness, this thing called awareness, that magical thing that's aware. It was never born, it will never die, it has no beginning, it has no end. They once went to a great, great master, an avatar, Meher Baba. They asked him, because they felt all his energy, it was such a great being, they said, who are you? He says, I was in the beginning, before all else was created. I will be in the end, after all else falls away. There was never a time I was not. There will never be a time I am not. That is true of you, not just him. Your consciousness is everything. It's what was. It's God. You want to call it God? Call it God. It is that which is everywhere, and it's the same consciousness Since consciousness has no quality other than being, it is the same consciousness that's looking through your eyes, your eyes, your eyes, your eyes. It's just being pulled down into what it's looking at. And so your consciousness, or consciousness that's looking at you, is aware of you. But it doesn't have to be. Now we're getting a little real high. It doesn't have to be. There are states deep inside. That's why Christ said the kingdom is within you. It literally means within you. That if you come back to your sense of self, that's who you are, you're going to find out that it expands. It's no longer being pulled down into one area. So a light can shine across the whole room, or it can focus, can it? It can focus down and just shine on one thing. It has that ability to expand and contract. That which you experience as consciousness is focused on your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and what you see through your senses. But it doesn't have to be. And that's what the great beings, the great masters, and Christ, my Father and I are one. It's like basically when you stop being attached to your personal self, and the consciousness is free of that. We'll talk more about that, because it happens in stages. When the consciousness is free of that, then it's like a magic moment. You're no longer being pulled down into your personal self, but you're not even busy watching your personal self. Yukteswar, guru, said, an ignored guest quickly leaves. These are the deep teachings. What do you mean an ignored guest quickly leaves? What kind of teaching is that? If you're not interested in what your mind has to say, you don't need to struggle with it. You don't struggle with the white lines in the road. How many leaves are there? Who cares? You don't do anything. You see them, you experience them, they go right through. When your personal self does that, oh my God. When the fact that you're watching this thing, Freud called it ego, I call it Igor. When that thing comes up, and you don't have to struggle with it, you're not paying attention to it, it's just like, been there, done that. I ran that road for a while. Now it just goes through. Yes, there it is, the personal self. There it is, likes and dislikes. There it is, complaints and feeling sorry for yourself. There it all is, all the personal self. And it just goes through. Why? Because an ignored guest quickly leaves. If you struggle with it, you own it. If you go with it, you own it. If it's okay, fine, I got one too. You know what? I have a hand. I don't stare at it all the time. How about you? It's just, I accept I got a hand. Okay, I have a mind. It complains a lot. How about you? And I got preferences. Oh, boy. And when they get what they like, they get excited, and then they go away. Who is ready to wake up? Who is ready to say, yes, I see all this, and I can handle it. Yes, it's part of the game. I got a hand, I got a foot, and I got an ego. And it's sensitive. And it's so sensitive, too. If I stub it, it complains. If the ego doesn't get it wrong, it complains. Really, that's the state. That's where you get eventually. It's natural. It's not a struggle. It's not a fight. It's not something you try to do. You've gone through the process enough. I once thought that been there, done that is a really high state. Been there, done that. You want to go travel and see Europe? And see all of it? Been there, done that. I know it's Australia, Europe. Okay, I'd rather go to the self. I'd rather sit in ecstasy, enjoy. I can still do that while I'm in ecstasy and joy, but I don't want to do that in order to feel okay. I don't want to have to do something in order to be okay. I don't want to have someone in front of me that dotes all over me and loves me and gives me exactly what I want so that I feel love. I want to feel love. Then I'll share it with them. Sure, by all means, I love it. I love sharing it. But I don't want to have to need something to placate my ego and my problems so that I'm open enough to feel love. I want to be open enough at all times to feel the nature of my own self, which is complete love, absolute love, unconditional love, love beyond the word love, just pure ecstasy, pure total completeness. I am whole and complete within myself. Now let's come down and boogie. Why not? Let's go travel. Let's do this. Let's get married. Let's have kids. Who cares? Doesn't matter. The net result is you're fine. How would you like to be fine no matter what? How would you like to be fine no matter what and know that you're fine no matter what and not be afraid and not have trouble making decisions? Why do I have trouble making decisions? Because I'm trying to decide what will make me be okay, aren't I? I'm trying to decide what will make me happy. I'm trying to decide what won't get me upset. What if nothing gets you upset and everything is wonderful? It's just amazing that it exists. God, I try to teach you, but no one will listen to me. You're sitting on a little planet in the middle of absolutely nowheres, causing yourself to be neurotic. Now, why would you do such a thing? I told you, 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun. And there are 300 billion stars in your galaxy. And what you call the sun is just a star, just one of those 300 billion, and 1.3 million of your Earth fit in there. And what are you doing while you sit on this planet? You are making yourself a complete neurotic mess, complaining and worrying and anxious and sad and scared. And oh my God, you're doing this to yourself. It's because you're trying to find freedom for yourself instead of freedom from yourself. This thing you're trying to find freedom for, has it ever been totally satisfied? And for how long? I'm talking about your whole life. Does it ever stop? It does not stop. Why? It's not who you are, and it's trying to be you, but you're not it. You come back to the seat of self, to the seat of consciousness, without getting all attached to that thing, and you're going to feel whole and complete. That's what's missing. Not the husband or the wife or the toy or the Ferrari or the Tesla. It's not what's missing. What's missing is the sense of your own being that's whole and complete within itself. And so it's trying to mimic that. It's like your shadow trying to be you, or like the reflection in the mirror trying to get married or do something. It's not who you are. You are the self. You're the consciousness. That's who you are. We talked about that. There is a nature of yourself, and it's pure bliss, pure joy, total no suffering, total complete well-being. Your personal self is trying to mimic that. It's almost as if deep inside it remembers there must be something better than this. Maybe I should get divorced and remarry. That's what it is. Maybe I have another kid. It's like you just wake up and you realize that's not me that I'm looking at. And it's trying to mimic being okay, but I can only be okay when I return to the seat of self, when I return to the nature of my being. Then I can go, no one's telling you not to go out and play. But at least it's fun. You're sitting in a planet in the middle of nowhere. That's just reality. What should I do? Get off? You can't, all right? And gravity says, no, you're staying here. So basically, I'm on this planet. What am I supposed to do? Have fun. Enjoy your journey. It will not last very long. Don't worry. The Earth has been here for 4.5 billion years. How long you got? 80, 90. Can't you just come down here and have a good time? There's all kinds of things to do. It's a zoo. There's animals, all kinds of animals, even bugs. You can go to a zoo. They have a bug, exhibit. You don't have to have the exhibit. You live in Florida. You get plenty of them. Just enjoy yourself. But you can't. Why? Because you develop these preferences, these desires, these fears, these anxieties based on your psyche. And now you're devoting yourself to that which is broken. Is your mind broken? Does it complain a lot? Has it got problems? Everything has to be exactly the way it wants, including your relationships with people and everything. And then you go to that exact same neurotic mind and say, what should I do? What kind of advisor is that? What's the matter with you? It does nothing but cause trouble. You say, what should I do to make you be okay? It's like, wow. And eventually you catch on. That's what I'm saying. You catch on. And you say, I am the seat of well-being. That's my consciousness is who I am. Until I return to that seat, I'm begging, I'm grabbing, I'm clinging, I'm resisting, I'm fighting. I'm fighting with everything because it all has to be a certain way for me to be even relatively okay. So you devote your life to not freedom for yourself, freedom from yourself. That would be nice. I'd like to be free from all that neurosis, from all those fears and anxieties and needs and so on. People say, but desires are nice things. Are they really? I'll tell you what. You get yourself a really, really strong desire, and I'll lock you in a room nowhere near to it and see how you're doing. Whoa, I thought they were nice things. Yeah, they're nice if you do what they tell you to do. And for a very short period of time, and they always find something wrong, don't they? So basically, you start working on freedom from yourself. That means I'm here. There's that thing down there complaining a lot. There's a thing down there scared. There's a thing down there judging. The thing down there trying to manipulate everybody and everything to be the way they want. All right? I'm the one who notices I need to start to untether myself. I need to untether myself. Is there a way to do that? Yes. How do you do that? You don't have to renounce anything. You don't run away. I don't want you to think like that. Just during the day, your little self, let's call it that. I like to call it your lower self, but that's judgmental. Your little self. That little thing that complains all the time and has so many needs and desires and preferences. Your little self will periodically, constantly, perk up and say something. I'm hot. All right, I like to take the driver in front of you. Any of you drive? Is there ever a driver in front of you that's not doing what you want to do? Not driving the speed limit you want to go, not using their blinker? Why are they going 5 miles under? No, that's what the right lane is for. Okay, so does that happen? Now, I think that that's a really good time to work on your liberation, your freedom from yourself. Because that part of yourself that's creating that commotion, that's of no benefit. All you're doing is bothering yourself. When you talk to the driver in front of you, hey, newsflash, they don't hear you. You're just causing yourself anxiety. You're causing yourself tension. You're causing yourself to have a bad day. But it's not doing any good. So you look at that and you say, why would I let myself do that? Why would I get involved with that? It's just creating anxiety. Does it create anxiety? So it's of no benefit. All right? Start there. Don't start with big things. Just start with a tiny little thing. Freedom from that. Can I be free to drive down the road and not listen to that garbage and actually be happy when I left and happy when I get there? That doesn't always happen, does it? You see a billboard, somebody says something, you see somebody, who the heck knows, all right? You see a couple in the car next to you hugging, and then you start getting depressed. It's like, oh, somebody once hugged me. That's how I used to be. At some point, you're going to look at this, give me a break. I got to get free of this. I'm the self. I'm free. And you just start doing this thing called letting go. Remember, an ignored guest quickly leaves. You just sit there and look at it and say, no, that's not me. I don't need to be like that. I need to do something about this. I don't need to find a road where no one drives. I'm always by myself. And no, that's freedom for yourself. I need to be free from myself so that I'm free all the time. And so what do? You can't stop it from coming up. You can't. It comes up. It's the way you're programmed right now. So it comes up. But you don't have to bring your consciousness down to it. That's the key. I'm aware it's coming up. That's witness consciousness. I'm aware it's coming up. I don't have to commit myself to it. I will not take my attention and put it down there. I will put it elsewhere. I could use positive thinking. God, look how slow they're going. Isn't that wonderful? Go a little slower. Win the world record. 10 miles, 20 miles on the speed limit. Play with it. Play with it. Have fun. You can do anything you want, but don't let the consciousness get pulled down into that mess. Do whatever you need to do. The book talks about techniques, but eventually what you'll do is notice that you can notice and not have to do anything about it. It's called, I can handle that. I can handle that the lower self is complaining about the driver in front of me. I can handle that the lower self is really complaining about how hot it is. I can handle the different things, and the things will get bigger and bigger that you can handle. And eventually, you can handle everything. And that's where I want you. I can handle everything. I can totally love somebody with all my heart because I can handle if they betray me. Whoa. Now that's graduate school. That's graduate school. I just wanted to start with kindergarten with the driver in front of you. But wouldn't it be nice to not be afraid and to know I can handle it? I can handle whatever happens to me. I can put my whole heart into the job I'm doing. And even though someone might look at it and criticize me, and say, did you even try? Why didn't you even try? And I can handle. Does it hurt? Sure, it hurt. The lower self is going to be there. You got one. Who's got one? The personal self is there. And so it reacts. I can handle the reaction. When I go to work next day, I don't avoid the person. I just basically, they criticized. Can you get criticized? And that's okay? I want you there. This isn't about not living your life. This is about the right to live your life without that little thing down there causing all this trouble. So it's not that you get rid of it. It's that an ignored guest quickly leaves. And eventually it will go. It will thin out. You know what happens? It's complaining now because it wants to get freedom for itself. I want to get what I want. I don't want it to be so hot. I don't want it to drive like that so I can be okay. Eventually it realizes, hey, if I shut up, I'm okay. Meher Baba said, man minus mind equals God. You, without that mess going on in there pulling you down, are a very, very high being. And it starts to realize, hey, if I want to be high, shut up. And it wants to quiet down. It wants to not be like that. And it little by little lets go. And eventually you stay there. You stay in this state, a constant state of upward flow of energy that's feeding you all the time. And it's just raising you. And you just feel happy. That's freedom from yourself. So we've discussed freedom. It's the 4th of July. It's liberation time. It's Independence Day. Be independent of that. And you can, but it takes time. Don't get down on yourself. You just work your way out little by little. Meditation helps. Mantra helps. All kinds of these techniques help, but you got to know why you're using them. You use them to free yourself from yourself. And it's the 4th of July. It's a wonderful time to start working on it. Jagrative.